Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.
Hello all, welcome to Ganesh IAS Academy. This is a special session. In this session, we are going to discuss about the previous year UPSC Mains economic question. So, the motive behind this session was how to approach the mains exam, and also what are the things you need to prepare and what are the things you can do in your answers to get extra marks. So, how to present your answer, and also how to have certain template points to use in your introduction and the conclusion part. So all these things will be discussed here. Okay, so let's begin the session. Yes, it is a 10-mark question. 2013 it was asked. See, it is again one of the usual questions about the PPP model. So we already discussed a lot about this question. Once again we are going to discuss it. And also when it comes to the PPP model, triple P model, the questions will be like pros of PPP or else cons of the PPP, or else they may ask any specific sectors. For example, whether PPP model can be introduced into the airport sector, whether the PPP model can be introduced in the railways. So in that way you have to prepare the positives and the negatives, and then the questions may be like in future there may be questions like a PPP model in the port. Already the thing is like that only, but still they may ask the positives and negatives based on the environmental sustainability, because the thing is about when it comes to the port development, it is affecting the environments like mangroves and coral reefs. So when it comes to the port, the question will be more of related to the environment. It is not related to the economy. So you have to prepare in that sense. Or else the PPP models, different types of PPP models like BOT or else BOOT. So there are lot of models you have to prepare on that way also. So what are the different types of models? Or else the question will be like the impact of this PPP model, because the government is going to lose their control over the certain sectors. So the power or else the way of creating the welfare society, whether it is possible with this PPP model. Because the thing is, if any infrastructure is run by the government means it will be different. But if it is run by any private individual means, then there may be any issues. It may affect the welfare of the society. It may create inequalities. So when it comes to the triple P model, whether it will affect the welfare state, welfare society. So for welfare society is about equality, fairness, justice. So these are the things. So question will be more like polity, but you have to prepare in that sense also. So when it comes to the triple P model, there are many positives and at the same time there are negatives. When it comes to the positives and negatives, the positives for the government, the positive for the private player, and also you have to speak about the negative to the governments and negative to the private player. In that sense also you have to prepare. If you prepare in this manner means it will be more useful to crack the mains. When the question is related to the triple P model, you can easily answer it. So these are the various way, 360-degree manner to prepare anything related to that syllabus topic. So you have to try to connect it with various aspects. So this is the major thing you need to do. Already we implemented the triple P model in the road transport. So by the way, the private is operating the toll plaza. So we successfully implemented in this road transport, but the question may be like, so what are the negatives we are facing in the triple P model in the road transport? In that sense also you have to prepare. And also the question may be like related to the quality check for the private. So whether the private is ready to be participated in the triple P model, that is also you need to have certain data. So these are the things you have to be prepared before you are going to the exam, because for every topic you have to think in a 360-degree manner. If you are able to think in that manner, means you can easily crack the exam. So if you are able to think, it means you can easily get the data. So you are going to have a readily available data in your hand. So you can easily put it in your answer. By the way, you can get a higher marks. So these are the things you need to follow. Okay, let's begin the session. Adoption of triple P model for infrastructure development of the country has not been free of criticism. Critically discuss the pros and cons of the model. So the question is about the pros and then cons, and it is mainly speaking about the triple P model. So the intro can be simply about what is triple P model. You can say that it is the collaboration or the coordination between the private player and the public player. In example, you can put a road transport, or else you can put the air services, airport services. For example, Delhi is created by the basis of the triple P model. Mumbai airport, even Chennai airport. So everything is created by the triple P model only. So you can put the examples like that. So in the way you have to give the intro part. Next, you can directly jump into the question. It is about the pros and the cons. When it comes to the pros, it is for example, if the government is going for an auction, okay, so in that thing you are bidding a thing and you are getting a project of completing any road transport, or else you have to construct any railway stations or anything. So in that manner, in that agreement, you have to mention about the time when you are going to complete it. So by the way, it is making the timely completion of the project. But when it comes to it's wholly owned by the government, means it may be take a longer duration. The reason is due to the steady fund flow towards the project. The delay may happen due to the delay in the fund provided to that project. The reason is every year they have to just mobilize certain fund towards the project. Okay, it is a periodic manner. But consider that scenario, if there is any natural disaster happened, or the COVID-19 like situation happened, means the government will stop funding towards the project, and they will more focus on the welfare of the people only. More than a development, they will focus on the welfare of the people. So by the way, the project completion will be get delayed. So that is the major issue when it comes to the public, when it comes to the government. But when it comes to private, only if they are able to complete the project in the timely manner, they will make a profit. Consider about the road. So within certain time period, they have to construct it. Afterwards only they are going to make a profit through the toll plazas. So by the way, it is providing the target time period for the private player. By the way, the completion of the project will be much quicker when it comes to the wholly owned public sector construction. So that is the first and foremost benefit of this triple P model. Next, risk sharing. So the risk sharing is not only about the financial thing, even the social factor or a political factor. So for example, environmental factor also. So in the triple P model, what they will do is, it will be more easy for the private to pump their money. At the same time, it is easy for the government to create a land. So land mobilization is easy for the government, and also creating the infrastructure on that land is easy for the private player. So they can easily share their risk. So fund mobilization is easy for the private. At the same time, mobilizing the land towards the project, which is more easy for the government. So by the way, they can easily avoid the risk in the construction of the project. So that is the second most important pros of this triple P model. And the third thing is expertise. So when it comes to the public sector, or else the government player is going to construct any project, means what they will do is they will use certain outdated technology. If you want to change any, if you want to update any new technology, means then you have to face lot of licensing clearing projects, clearance things. So when it comes to private player, means it will be more easy. So they will make a creative or innovative decisions to complete their project with a quality manner. So when it comes to the private player going to participate in the projects of the government, means then it will increases their expertise. So that is the major benefit. And the last thing is resources mobilization. Again, it is a repeated point only. It is nothing but, for example, when it comes to the public sector, they can easily mobilize the land or else any natural resources. But when it comes to the private, they can easily mobilize their wealth. They can easily provide the fund for that project. So by the way, it is a win-win situation for both the work. For a public sector, it is a timely manner you can going to complete the project. When it comes to the private sector, they are going to make a huge profit. So it is win-win situation for both the players. So these are the pros of the triple P model. But there are certain cons, there are certain negatives. That thing are, first, delay in the project completion due to various factors. Consider that in a triple P model, there is one of the things about build, operate and transport. So for building that project, the government have to spend the money in a periodic manner. They have to share it to the private player. So for every 6 months or 1 year, the government have to provide the money. By the way only they can easily complete the project. So here it is about build, operate and transport, which means government is going to provide the money and the private is going to provide the expertise. That is one of the triple P model. In that scenario, what if the government is not providing the money to the private player? So obviously it will affect the completion of the project in the timely manner. So by the way, it is going to affect the completion of the project. Next, inefficient risk allocation. That is the major issue. When it comes to risk allocation, there is a major tussle will happens between the private and the public player. Because who is going to take a blame? If anything goes wrong, who is going to take the blame? That is the major issue. By that thing only, most of the triple P models are not getting into the real-time thing. It is not getting into the ground. So it is only in the discussion and it is not reaching the ground, and there is a creation of any projects. So that is the major issue. And the third thing is profit-driven approach, obvious thing. So when it comes to the private player, they are going to participate in any projects. So their major motive is only about profit. For a government sector, it is motive of the welfare society. So both are the opposite extremes, but they both are coming into the certain agreement to complete the project, which is the toughest one. So that is the major issue. And the last thing is long-term complicated inflexible thing. Yes. So for example, the private and public signed the agreement and the project is started. In that on the go of the project, if there is any issue, how to manage that issue? When it comes to the public sector, they have the strict rules. They are going to follow that strict rule only. But when it comes to the private sector, they don't have any strict rules, they will make a certain flexible decisions. So that is also the major issue. So it will going to create a tussle in the on the grow of the projects. So these are the major pros and cons affecting the triple P model. But if India is a need to achieve the Vikshit Bharat by 2047, definitely we need a triple P model, because the reason is fund that you need to spend on the project is very limited when it comes to the government. The reason is they are more focusing on the welfare of the people. In that scenario, if you are not going to invest in the infrastructures like roads or else railways or in the airport, then it is going to affect the growth of the nation. So there is a definite need of the triple P model for the achievement of the Vikshit Bharat by 2047. So in that sense, you have to complete the answer, and you can say that we need to work on the overcome these cons. We need to work on the overcomes of these negatives of the triple P model. In that sense, you have to complete it. Okay, thank you.